everybody. Happy December. Peter Greenberg here with our Facebook Global Travel Update for the first time in December. It's Thursday, December 2nd. Hope you're having a great time wherever you happen to be. What a crazy day this is in terms of travel news and restrictions and more chaos and confusion, but we'll get through all that. Of course, you've got any comments, you know where to put them. Any questions, lay them in there. If you can't get them today, that's okay. You can always email me to peter@petergreenberg.com. We'll either answer them online or on our radio show that airs every Saturday, Eye on Travel on CBS. And if you can't find the radio show in your market, yes, you can. Just go right to our website, hit the radio icon. We stream it live every Saturday from 5 minutes after 10 till 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope you had a chance to join us there. I've been all over the world since the last time I saw you. I was in the Canary Islands, then I was in Saudi Arabia, then I was in Istanbul, and I was supposed to do this yesterday from Los Angeles. We had planned to do that, but something got in the way. Let me show you a little video here. Let's run this video. Beautiful picture, right? When the sun came in, the clouds, the streams of light. That was the approach to Istanbul that we never made because a freak windstorm showed up, about 110 knots. That is way beyond normal parameters for airlines to operate in. We were diverted to Ankara. I couldn't make my LA flight, so I overnighted in Istanbul and flew instead to where I am right now, Washington, D.C. So that's where we're coming from today. But that was a beautiful day in Istanbul, just unable to land because of the wind. The first time since that airport opened that it ever closed because of wind. Crazy stuff. Now, here we are today, and let's get to the news. In a couple of hours, President Biden's going to be making a number of announcements that are going to affect your travel. Let's go through what they're going to be and what they may not be. Here's what we know. This afternoon, he'll be speaking, and will now take that 72-hour rule for returning travelers to the United States. You have to have a negative COVID test within 72 hours of your return flight, and he's going to shorten it now. It's going to be within 24 hours. That's the first thing. The second thing that he may be doing today is instituting a rule saying that once you get here, you're going to have to get tested again within 24 hours of arrival. That's the second thing. The third thing that's on the table, but probably will not be announced today, is a rule that will require proof of vaccination to get on an airplane within the United States. And the reason why that's not going to be on the table today is that all those other vaccination mandates that the administration wants are currently being challenged in the courts. So they're going to see how that gets resolved first before they go forward on that. My guess is it'll end up being done by the private sector as it was in Canada, right? You can't get on a Canadian plane now without showing proof of vaccination. And then there's the fourth thing that he's definitely doing today. January 18th was the deadline for a decision about whether or not to extend the mask mandate on all airlines and public transportation. The president's not waiting till January 18th. He's going to extend it today, more than likely through March. And that's more a reflection of the vaccination levels in this country than anything else. Speaking of vaccination levels, we've seen huge spikes in cases in Europe, in Germany, in Austria, in the Netherlands, even in Switzerland. We've seen stuff happening there. And we're not just seeing number of cases, we're seeing number of hospitalizations. Now, what's interesting about that is how many of those hospitalizations are from people who are not vaccinated to begin with. Answer, about 96%. There's a huge anti-vax movement in Germany, and we see what's happening there. As a result of that, we're seeing Christmas markets closing in Germany, in Vienna, in Prague, and in I'm missing a few places, but that's where they're closing. And we're seeing lockdowns now in Israel. They're closed now for the next 2 weeks. Japan is basically telling all airlines they can take no further airplane reservations for the next 2 weeks. Everybody with the new variant is operating from an abundance of caution. They don't want to go back to the early days of March 2020 when people waited too long. That's what they're thinking. That's what they're doing. And it's going to be happening more than likely in places in the Caribbean as well. Now, what about the 8 African countries that have been banned? Well, there was an exception made there, right? You cannot come to the United States from any of those 8 African countries unless you happen to be a returning American citizen or a permanent resident. Now, there's something illogical about this because anybody can get infected, has nothing to do with your nationality, but that's what they're saying for now. What's the subtext here? People are now afraid to go over there for fear that the rules may change again and they get stuck and not be able to get home. So that's the subtext that was around in April of 2020 through April of 2021, generally during COVID-19. Now with the new variant, it's back again. So watch this space. Now, are passengers and travelers canceling in large amounts? They're not. Most of us are now embracing this as sort of like the new normal, that we're always going to have a variant and that we're just going to have to manage it. This is a virus that may never be eradicated, but it's going to be managed. And instead of canceling flights or canceling trips, they may be picking different destinations, but they are going to be traveling. Now, it does have an impact on how airlines allocate their fleets and their crews and their schedules. And this is all evolving as we're speaking today. So stay tuned. By tomorrow, we'll have a clearer picture of what all this is and what it means. But for now, you can count on an extension of the mask mandate till March. You can count on a change in the rule about the 24-hour to 72-hour rule. It's going to be 24 hours now prior to your return that you're going to have to be tested. And there's a very good possibility you're going to have to get tested again once you get to the U.S. Other countries are doing that. The United Kingdom, for example, has been doing that for a while. Now maybe it's turn as well. So stay tuned on that. Certain things, by the way, are still a problem with staff shortages. We got through the Thanksgiving holiday for one reason only. Weather cooperated. It didn't get crazy, but it was really stretched to the margins in terms of our air traffic system. And while that may be the biggest period of the year for the rest of this year, it has to get fixed with better staff, more staff between now and, let's say, April of next year. All right, now, other problems still exist. I was on hold with Delta Airlines for 3 hours and 49 minutes. And that's on their frequent flyer number, not their regular number. That'll give you an idea of how short staff is really being manifested. And the irony of all ironies, it was rather insulting. And by the way, every airline does this. What happens? You call up and they tell you you're going to be on hold. So I put it on speaker just to see. We had a timer going. And then they come back on and say, oh, by the way, at the end of the conversation, please stay on the line for a 2-minute survey so you can tell us about our service. You want me to spend another 2 minutes after 3 hours and 49 minutes to tell you how bad your service is? Why don't we just cut to the chase? Your service sucks. This morning, I called Alaska Airlines. I was told your wait time is going to be 32 minutes. So instead of holding, give us your number and we'll call you back in 32 minutes. Okay, relatively speaking, that was more reasonable. So I did that and they called me back in 1 hour and 46 minutes. Da-da, same problems. So it's going to be that way for a while. Remember, there are staff shortages at restaurants, hotels, airlines, airports. I mean, every sector of the travel and hospitality business. So that's also the new normal for a while. All right, now let's move on here and say hello to some people here. Let me scroll down here. Give me a second. Patrick Cooney's in Waikiki. Good for you. Michelle says, hello on board the beautiful Celebrity Edge. That is a beautiful ship. We've done a couple of stories about it, including its first captain. She just moved off that ship, the legendary Captain Kate. If you want, we did a feature on Captain Kate, and you can access that. My assistant Anthony's going to let me know how we can do that. During this broadcast, I'll let you know how to do that. She's now on their brand new ship at the shipyard, basically supervising the construction, and we'll be delivering that sometime next year. Okay, welcome back to DC, says Julia. Hello, Julia. Clear air turbulence. You talk about our flight into Istanbul. There was none because we never got low enough to get the wind above a certain number of feet. It wasn't a factor, but down on the ground, bad news. Okay. Hello, Marcia. Hey, Johnny Jett, my good pal Johnny Jett. How are you, sir? Kristen Olson tuning in from Vermont and trying to deal with healthcare. Well, good luck with that. Okay. We now know the date. The mask mandate has been extended till March 18th. Patty Ford says that. I believe you. Okay, well, I did finally land in Istanbul, by the way. We ended up in Ankara. We had to stay there about 2 or 3 hours. When the wind died down, we got back to Istanbul long enough just to go to an airport hotel and then get on the flight yesterday to fly to DC. Drew says hello from Japan. By the way, Japan, as I said before, has locked down all incoming flights with U.S. passengers for the next 2 weeks. You're not going to be able to get on a plane. Hello from Split in Croatia. Hello right back. Hello from Tanzania, where Mount Kilimanjaro is located. We know. Okay. Greetings from the Bay Area of California. Do you use the Clear app to provide proof of vaccination? We are required to in Palm Springs for a pickleball tournament. Well, I got to tell you something. Free cheers for the guys at Clear. They do a great job. It's worth it. And if you're a member or if you actually have a number of different credit cards, it basically costs you nothing to join because it's part of a statement of credit you'll get back. American Express does that. A number of the Chase cards do that. Even Capital One does that. But it really works. Look, there's the regular TSA line. There's TSA pre-check, which sometimes is even longer than the regular line. And then there's Clear, what takes you right to the front of the TSA pre-check line. It's a breeze, and it works. And of course, they're now in sports venues, theme parks, concerts, the whole deal. It really does. And they've been working closely with the state of Hawaii in perfecting a way, sort of a health passport for them electronically. Mary Devlin says she's watching from New Jersey. Falcon in New York. There's Deborah. Patty Ford, Vermont. No, variant, normal. Yikes. Okay. Mike. Several fear-mongering clients are canceling cruises due to, oh, please. Guys, let's get real here on the new variant. Okay, can we? I'm assuming that most of you who are watching me are smart enough to have gotten vaccinated and even have gotten your booster. Okay. What the vaccinations have done, you don't have to take it from me, just look at the numbers. It's taken death off the table. The people who even get those rare breakthrough cases are not being hospitalized, intubated, or somehow on a respirator. They're getting through it. And those are the very small number of cases that would be called breakthrough. So I've gotten my vaccinations. I've gotten my booster. It would not stop me going on a cruise. It would not stop me going anywhere. I was just in Saudi Arabia, Tanzania, Istanbul, and the Canary Islands in the middle of a volcano. And guess what? I was more worried about the ash than I was worried about the virus. So let's get real here, guys. Play by the rules, wear the mask where you need to wear the mask, get your vaccinations, and whenever you can get that booster, get it. Keep in mind that some countries now are dating back a year, and if you haven't been vaccinated or gotten a shot in more than a year, we're coming up on that now, they won't let you in. So the booster is your guarantee of getting in. Okay. I have a greetings from Indonesia, one from Tel Aviv, which just got shut down. Here's one from Robert, says, I canceled Madrid, going to Utah instead. Do you think your chances are better in Utah than Madrid? Help me out with them, Robert. What makes you think Madrid is a problem for you? Have you been vaccinated? Are you wearing your mask? Then, por supuesto, Madrid. Okay. Tell me what I'm saying wrong. Colleen says, next Monday I'm flying from San Francisco to Anaheim. Wow, that's a long trip. And then from Anaheim to Denver, I'm double vaxxed and boosted and wear a mask. So I'm not canceling unless you indicate I should think this. Look, I'm not your doctor. I have no idea what your medical history is, Colleen. But if your doctor tells you you're good to go, based on what you just told me, I'd go. Okay. Lorraine says, welcome back. What was your favorite part of your trip? Well, first of all, how many of you have been to the Canary Islands? Not many. And do you know what the Canary Islands is named for? Bet you don't. No, it's not a canary. It's named after a dog. And the Canary Islands was the last stop Christopher Columbus made before he accidentally hit the New World. Yes, history is unkind to him now, and probably appropriately so. In any case, you have 8 islands there. Amazing volcanic islands that offer everybody. You want social distancing baked in? That's the Canary Islands. You want great sea activities, great mountain activities, hiking, biking. Of course, there's the volcano in La Palma. We were there, and it just erupted again, big time, 2 nights ago. But we were there when it was erupting as well. But a beautiful, beautiful location, great food, great topography, great history. I recommend it highly. Okay. Robin says aloha. Robin, who's updating me every day on her trip to Hawaii, is now updating me now. She's back from Hawaii. Okay, and in Williamsburg, Virginia. I assume, Robin, you had a great time. Christopher says, greetings from Dresden. We love Dresden. A remarkable story of a city that was obliterated in World War II and has risen from the dead. And it's a great city. Okay. Hello from Gainesville, Georgia. Okay. Louise says, I went to the airport last night and had my 72-hour PCR test and waited in line for 2 hours. Finally, the agent took my test info and told me I needed a 48-hour COVID test for Iraq. I had to get another PCR test at the airport for $175. Guys, if you're getting your airport test at an airport with very few exceptions, like you didn't know about it or you'd never heard of COVID until you got to the airport, then you deserve to pay what they're charging you. There are so many different resources available that are much less expensive than $175, and in many cases, they're free. So I'm sorry, Louise, you don't get sympathy from me on this one. And the problem is you paid the price, right? They told you were too late for the flight. Don't wait till the last minute. Convenience is not your friend, especially if you want to pay through the nose for it and you're given bad information along the way. I'm sorry to hear about your experience. Okay. Patty says, Anthony is great. Now, Anthony, I told you 100 times, tell your mother to stop writing it. No, he is great, by the way. Fiona's watching from Maui. All right, Fiona. Ted's saying hello again from Naples. Michelle, glad I'm only traveling domestically this winter. Guys, there's a way to game the system in a way that's responsible and allows you to see the world. Figure it out. I'm helping you here. You don't necessarily have to stay home during this new variant. You just have to understand what you need to do and what you don't need to do, and then act accordingly. And if you do want to fly overseas during this period, and I'll be doing it again, I'm going back to Tanzania on our PBS special later this month. Of course, you want to fly, if you can, on a U.S. carrier, because then if the flight's canceled or you have to cancel, you're not going to lose your money. Now, going over to Tanzania at the end of this month, they only have two real choices, Turkish Air and Qatar, but they've been very responsible airlines, so I'm not worried. But for everybody else out there, if you want to go to Europe, pick a U.S. carrier. You'll have a much better chance of rebooking, getting your money back, or keeping your money if the flight is somehow canceled. Okay. Geraldine says, hello from 55 degrees in Chicago. Well, I'll be in Chicago on the 14th and 15th, so I look forward to experience that weather. Remember, I spent 5 years in Madison, Wisconsin, so 55 degrees in Chicago, that's beach weather. James wants to know, my buddy James Swift from CBS, should I cancel my trip to London on the 25th? First of all, you're flying on the best day of the year to travel, Christmas Day, something you and I talked about a long time ago, James. The answer is do not cancel. You're going to be okay. Hello from gloomy PA. Sorry to hear that, Gail. Hello from London. Catalina says car rental prices are through the roof. You just noticed this, Catalina? They're going to stay through the roof till February. Remember, we have three things working here: a shortage of cars, COVID, and the chip problem that's delaying manufacturers from shipping the rental car companies their new fleets. And so we're going to have to wait a little bit. Rental car prices will stabilize by February. Marco says hello from Rome. Elaine says, should we travel to Belize in March? We need to pay the last payment for a tour soon, and we are worried about COVID-19. Okay. You told me, Elaine, that you're vaccinated. You're going to Belize in March. Who are you paying the last payment to? And I hope you're paying with a credit card. Remember, if you pay for something that you don't get, you do have rights under the Federal Credit Act. However, remember, you got to be very careful because under the credit rules and the law, it's within 60 days of your purchase that you didn't get something, either a good or a service, where you can dispute the bill. What you need to do, and I'm telling you this for everybody planning a trip with a tour operator, a hotel, or a resort, ask them what their escrow provisions are. Will they be willing to put your deposit or your advance payments in escrow until the trip actually operates. Never pay with a check, never pay with cash or traveler's checks, pay with a credit card, but get something in writing from them saying they'll do this. That's what's going to protect you. Okay. Michelle says, hello from beautiful Bamberg, Germany. All right. Pickleball is a cult. Yes, it is. And Mike reports it's 76 degrees in Fort Lauderdale, as it always is. Okay, greetings from LA. Sorry you weren't able to make it to Los Angeles. I run a safari company here. You're correct. Clients so far are not canceling. The smart traveler is being strategic here. This is the time to take a deep breath, let the science be the science, and let your intelligence, as well as everything else, guide you. Patty now says she's triple vaxxed. Darlene says, I want to travel in January. Soon after New Year's, I want to get a last-minute deal anywhere warm. I live in Chicago, where it's 55 degrees, by the way. Do you think it is wise to wait, or should I get something now? And what website do you recommend for last-minute deals? I recommend no website for last-minute deals. We have to be much more specific and targeted as to where we want to go and when we want to go. If you want to go somewhere in January, remember what I always say. There are 2 weeks in the year that you own those weeks. They're called dead weeks. We just had one last week, right? The week immediately following Thanksgiving, where people are recovering from, you've heard me say this before, their obligatory dysfunctional family get-together. Nobody's traveling, you own it. Airfares leading up to Thanksgiving were 4 and 5 times what they are last week. And when's the next dead week? January 4th, a week after you were just recovering from the new year. So look on the websites now, right? You're about a month away, and see what you want to go on in January. And Darlene, if you want to get back to me and give me a specific guidance from you as to where you want to go, I might be able to help you out a little more. Okay. Okay. Catherine says, isn't it terribly unfair the way South Africa is getting blamed for this? I'm so sad for all the amazing people in South Africa, especially the traveling. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, there are 54 countries in Africa. That's right. And I'm not going to make you name them. But the average vaccination percentage of their population right now is a pathetic 6%. 6%. In some countries, it's 1.6%. Now, that's due to a couple of factors. Either A, they had no access to the vaccine, B, they started late, or they had leaders who myopically didn't believe in COVID. Shall we discuss the former president of Tanzania? He said, even if this disease exists, you can pray it away. And he wins re-election with his running mate. And 5 months later, he dies of COVID. What's the first thing she does? She holds a public ceremony and gets vaccinated and is working aggressively to get her country vaccinated. That's what needs to be done here. However, and this is the double-edged sword here, it doesn't stop me. That vaccination level does not stop me from going to Africa. It may stop America from welcoming Africans here if they've not been vaccinated, or they might actually be asymptomatic and carry the variant. I get that, but it doesn't stop me from going there. And it shouldn't stop you either if you've been double vaccinated, you have your booster shot, and you're playing by the rules. Linda wants to know, do I think Oktoberfest will take place in 2022? Listen, as I said before, this virus is not going to get eradicated, but it's going to get managed. And if we can manage it, we can go anywhere in the world. So you know what? I'll see you next October in Germany. Mike reports no snow in Utah. Okay. This is called the shoulder season. Kathleen wants to know, I'm going to Punta Cana after Christmas, triple vaxxed. If we get COVID there, how long will we be quarantined? Well, interestingly about, you mentioned Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, many of the resorts down there have a program in place. Now, they may not have volunteered it, but you can ask them about it. That is, if you get there and you test positive, they will quarantine you at their expense, including your meals, and then fly you home. Figure out the resort you're staying at and ask them that question. Okay, Zach says, hello from Houston. Missed it last week. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I did. My Thanksgiving last week was in Riyadh. Nothing says Turkey like Saudi Arabia. And then I went to Turkey, where I did not have turkey. I was surrounded by the word, but never had it. Okay. Lorraine says, year-round sunshine too in the Canary Islands. That's true. They have great weather there. Ivan says, how much time does it take for passport renewals? Have the delays lessened? They have. We've gone from 9 months to 9 weeks. It's pretty good. But remember, you want to tick off the expedited service no matter what. And now's the time to do it. Because once we get to January, everybody starts panicking about getting their passports renewed in time for summer. Do it now. The worst 5-letter word in your vocabulary that has to be eliminated is later. Okay. Gail says, my husband is fighting colon cancer. I'm sorry to hear that, Gail, and is in remission right now. I'm happy to hear that now. I'm hoping to go on a last-minute trip to celebrate, but now with this new variant, I'm concerned for him. Well, I would be too. It gets back to what your physician tells you about his medical condition and his ability to travel if he's immune compromised or has a pre-existing condition that might make him weaker. I can't really comment on this, but I really hope he gets a chance to go. Let me know what your doctor says. Okay. Tanya says, I will be in Antarctica next month on the Crystal Endeavor. We just saw the Crystal Endeavor. We were on it in Iceland in July. Crystal is chartering a flight from Miami to Santiago. I'm vaccinated, will adjust to the ever-changing entry requirements. Good for you, Tanya. You're going to have a great time. And that is a ship that was specifically designed with ice standards, ice hull standards to do Antarctica. You're going to have a great time. It's small, it's intimate, and they'll do a great time. They'll do a great job. Joseph is watching from Tanzania. I'll be back there on the 17th. Louise, I guess you didn't read a COVID test before it was negative. It was a 72-hour test. They changed the policy and did a 48-hour test. Once again, this is not the time to go to somebody's website. This is the time to pick up a phone and call a travel agent or a travel advisor who specializes in the region where you're going. Believe me, they'll know the latest. If anybody proved their worth during the pandemic, it was travel agents. They were advocating for their clients. They were on the phone like I was for 3 hours and 49 minutes trying to get their clients refunds, getting no commissions in the process. They get a big salute from me. This is the time to have a conversation with a travel advisor. Do not accept. It's back to the days of détente with Gorbachev. Trust but verify, and you verify by having a conversation with a travel agent. Trust me, it works. A travel agent who specializes in the region or country you want to go to. Okay. Any updates on hotels you have experienced? Well, in what way? I've been in a lot of hotels. Canary Islands, Saudi Arabia, Istanbul, here in Washington, D.C. Be a little bit more specific, Mike. Gina says, hi from San Diego. Hope to see you at the Travel and Adventure Show in 2022. Yes, I will be there. And in fact, I might be there even sooner than you think. How about that for a tease? Ryan says, I have a villa reservation for Bali in June. How late do you think I can wait before booking airfare as I monitor the changing rules in Bali? Do you know how many people went to Bali 2 years ago, this month? 430,000. You know when he went there last month? We're talking November 2019 to November of last month, or just 4 days ago, 30,000. 90% less than normal, even more. So right now, as they slowly emerge from the COVID crisis, your best time to start making a reservation is now, because the rates will never be as depressed as they are right now. Okay. Umar says, I'm traveling from Lahore to Toronto via Heathrow on January 17th. Am I good? Whoa, that's a triple whammy. First of all, are you still on the red list in the UK? I think you are. Are you on the red list in Toronto? I think you are. You better double check. Time to have that conversation. You don't want to get to the airport to find out you're denied. And you're going January 17th. So call today to see where things stand, and then call every 10 days. That's how rapidly things are changing. Okay. Hi from Portland. Robert says, I plan to go to Cape Town in March. Hopefully this is all over with. I'm using American Airlines award. Well, if you got the award, that's great. It's not going to be all over in March. Again, it's going to be with us for a couple of years. But does that mean you can't go? No. Be smart. Hold on to that reservation, Robert. Hope you make it. Sam Schwartz, you're trying to tease me. Look, Sam and I went to college together in Wisconsin. I had to suffer Wisconsin getting their ass kicked by Michigan on October 2nd. I was there for the game. I will, however, hats off to Michigan. They kicked Ohio State's ass. They did it. And if anybody deserves to for the Big Ten championship against Iowa this Saturday, it's going to have to be Michigan. So I'm with you on that. All right. Scott's flying nonstop Orlando to Louisville Christmas Eve. First flight since 2019. Triple vaccinated and wearing a mask. Scott, go for it. Katrina says hello from Alabama. Catherine says, do I recommend Americans travel to Saudi Arabia? Well, I'm not going to make a political statement here, because if I were going to make political statements and tell you where I would go based on what I thought the politics of a country were, I probably wouldn't go anywhere. And that would probably rule out about 47 of the US 50 states as well. But as a travel experience, Saudi Arabia is a brave new world. Think about this. A kingdom that was literally closed to the world, other than religious pilgrims, for 79 straight years. And in 2019, they opened the door granting visas without any kind of bureaucracy to anybody who wanted to go. Now's the time to go. They have so many UNESCO World Heritage Sites they don't even know about there. It's now's the time to get in, and now's the time to see it. All right. Alexander says, South Africa being transparent and getting punished for it. A real shame. I totally agree. You know what? They've been playing by the rules in South Africa. They've been responsible, and it's disappointing to see how the world's reacting. Some might even say it's racist. Okay, I said it. Okay. Alan says, I went to Saudi for 10 days, but I left in 2. No tourist infrastructure. That's my point, Alan. I'm not going there to stay at a Holiday Inn. I'm not going there to eat at a Burger King, although there are Burger Kings there. You see them everywhere. But that's been there for a while. Let's define tourist infrastructure. Are you telling me there was no bathroom? No, that's not true. Are you telling me there's no telephone or internet? That's not true. Are you telling me there's no public transportation? No, that's not true. So what's your definition of tourist infrastructure? A gift shop? Come on. Are you a tourist or are you a traveler? That's the key here. And I hope, and by the way, Alan, this applies to you too, I hope you answer that you're a traveler. And if you're a traveler, you don't need infrastructure. That's the whole point. By the way, the infrastructure is there. It's growing. But I'm not dependent on infrastructure to immerse myself in a culture, to hang out with the people, to have conversations, to explore new food, music, architecture. That's not infrastructure. That's what you're going to see and experience. Okay. Marcia says, this is very good news. We had our passports renewed in 20 days, not expedited. Lucky you. For everybody else, I'd still pick the expedited service. For me, and I know I might be an extreme case, any day that I'm without my passport, I'm in prison because I have no options. Now, I happen to carry 2 passports, which is legal, because I can make the case that with my travel schedule, I'm going to a number of countries that don't like each other. And a stamp on one passport might get me in trouble in that country. But it also helps me in another way. If I need to send my passport in for a visa somewhere, it doesn't deny me the opportunity of traveling because I have the second passport. All right. So I'm happy to hear that you got it in 20 days. But you know what? I'm a big fan of getting it in 1 day if you can do it. Okay. Ted's going to take a driving trip to the Southeast U.S. this coming spring. Any highlights I shouldn't miss? Yeah. I mean, let's get down to a definition of Southeast. We just did a special for my Travel Detective show to be airing next year on the Civil Rights Trail. And we drove all the way through Alabama, right? From Selma to Montgomery, over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I recommend that part of history to you. It's amazing. And since you're doing it by road, you take the time you need to go. No one's racing. Gina says, thanks for the shout out for travel agents. She's still rebooking clients from 2020. My point exactly. Who else is going to do that for you? An OTA, an online travel agency? One of the reasons why travel agents really proved their worth was when what hit the fan during the pandemic? The OTAs basically fled the scene of the crime. You couldn't get anybody on the phone. They weren't set up for it. The travel agents were. Those were the saviors. Okay. Umar says, not red listed yet. I'm also a Canadian resident. Well, you see, you didn't tell me that, Umar. So now you'll be good to go because you're only transiting those airports. Is that correct? You're not entering the country. And if that's the case, you'll be okay. And you're double vaccinated, even better. Okay. Patty wants to know about Doha and Qatar in 2022. You bet, but go early because you know what's happening in Doha next year on November 21st. It's the World Cup, and you don't want to get in that mess unless, of course, you have tickets. And if you have tickets, please share them with me. Yeah, Doha is a cool place. It really is. And Joy says, when's the best time to go to Dubai? Between now and March. You don't want to go to Dubai April through October. You'll fry. That's when everybody in the UAE goes on vacation. Patty says, Peter, please stop talking like Rick Steves. I have no idea what you're talking about, although I like Rick Steves. Okay. Tom says, do you have 2 U.S. passports or 1 U.S. and 1 from another country? Actually, I have 2 U.S. passports. Alan says, no, I'm not talking fast food. Okay. Alan says, I've traveled to 50 countries, ripped off by a travel agency and left early. Oh, well, that stuff, you didn't tell me that. Did not deliver what they promised. Didn't tell me that either. Changed hotels and flights on, okay. Got it. All right. I'm reading everything you wrote. If you're going to complain that there's no tourist infrastructure, and then you tell me that the real reason was that the travel agency that you booked through didn't deliver what they promised, that's a different issue. Okay, got that. And let me scroll back up here for a second. All right, it's time for the photo of the week. Let's get it up. Tell me that's not a cool photo. It is, isn't it? Absolutely. And I'm gonna get to that in a second. I've got it on another computer here. There it is. Terry Blanchard did this photo. Where was it? Anybody want to guess? Well, he started on the Danube with an Amur River cruise. Then they traveled to Munich for a few days. And then on the way to the famous castle outside of Munich, they came upon this view. And when did they take this photo? When did Terry Blanchard take this photo? Recently, November 10th. Congratulations. Lovely. You got to wait for the light. And the wind was just perfect, as it was not for me in Istanbul. Congratulations on this. If you've got a great photo that you think qualifies as our photo of the week, you know what to do. You send it in to us, peter@petergreenberg.com. And if we like it, we post it just like that. Congratulations, Terry. Here's here's one from Julia. I had a trip booked to South Africa for Christmas. Do you think this is a definite no-go now with the new variant? Well, you haven't been banned to go. We've just banned them from coming. So, you know what? I'd go. Louise says, hi, I'm going to Iraq for 1 year. Any suggestions for such a long flight? I'm not going to answer that question, Louise, until you tell me why you're going to Iraq for a year. I think all of us want to know. I speak for everybody here. So please tell me, and then we'll get into a longer discussion. Karen says, do Americans need to show a negative PCR test to enter Paris and also to eat in restaurants if you've already been double vaccinated? You need to show your test to get into France and even to get on the plane to go to France. But what you do need to bring with you to every restaurant is your vaccination card to show proof of vaccination to eat at a restaurant. Okay, Wes says, hello from Raleigh, Peter. Heading to Paris in a couple of months. What's a good place to grab a little bite with the family? Would love your recommendation. Well, I have a couple of favorite restaurants in Paris. I do recommend a book. In fact, he's just been on my radio show. A great American expat who's lived there for about 20 years, Alex Lebrano. The name of the book is My Place at the Table. He is my go-to guy for French restaurants, and he knows all things Paris. He turned me on to one restaurant a couple of years ago, actually about 8 years ago, and I've gone back ever since, as recently as 3 weeks ago. It's on General Lanrezac. That's the name of the avenue. It's called L'Hide, Hide. It's Asian French fusion. Unbelievable. Great chef. Every dish on that menu is over the top. It's not over the top price-wise. It's a little pricey, but it's not out of control. And it's small, only about maybe 15 tables in the restaurant. So reservations are a must. But that would be my recommendation for that, just so you know. And I go back every year. It's a ritual for me now. But get Alex's book, My Place at the Table. Okay, is Germany going to enter a lockdown again? My guess is they will. I mean, they have a spike of 47,000 cases just in the last couple of days. 98% of them unvaccinated. You know, that's part of the major anti-vax movement there. Look at the price they're paying. But those Christmas markets are gone for this year, I think. Okay. Naomi says, I'm 70 years young. Congratulations. Divorced and live in Montreal. I'm looking for an all-inclusive for people my age. I'm hoping to travel in mid-January. I'm double vaxxed and we'll have the booster in mid-December. All right, Naomi, send me that as an email and we'll try to get you some answers, okay? Because you haven't told me how far you want to go and how long you want to go. Okay, Marie, is now a good time to buy international tickets for March 2022, Atlanta or Charlotte to Madrid? And what happened to the direct flights? I just returned from direct Atlanta to Barcelona in October. That flight is gone. A lot of those flights are seasonal, and they're not going to kick in until June or July of next year, if you're speaking about Delta. But my answer is if you're going in March, which is a great month because it's not heavily traveled, except you have to figure out what day Easter falls. I'm not sure this year. If you can do it outside that window, do it, and you can book it now. All right? You may have to go through another city. I don't think there are any nonstop flights from Atlanta to Madrid that I know of. I tried to get one from Madrid to Dallas, which used to be one on American. That didn't exist either. I had to go through, who did I go through? I went through Lisbon and flew back from Lisbon on TAP. And they're restoring almost all their U.S. gateways. I think they're all back now. So they're now at JFK and Newark. They're up in San Francisco. Aer Lingus is now back with all of their gateway cities in the United States. And that's the way to go. Hold on one second. We got some more. I'm going to just scroll down here. Leanne wants to know, what's the COVID situation like in Egypt? Which month would be best to do as I go in 2022? January or February, and the Grand Egyptian Museum is going to be open. And look, the COVID situation in all of Africa, Egypt's part of that, is not great. But if you're double vaxxed, you got the booster, you're going to wear your mask. You know what? Getting out to the pyramids, that's social distancing baked in anyway. So go. All right. Let's see if there's anybody else here who wants to talk to me before I race off. I'm just scrolling down. Alexander says, Germany heading for a lockdown for the unvaccinated only. Okay, but that opens up all sorts of doors for fraud. Beverly says, flying nonstop Atlanta to Madrid in February. So the flights are back. There you go. That's Delta. Thank you for sharing that, Beverly. I appreciate that. Is the CDC Vax card, Geraldine wants to know, in the U.S. acceptable in all restaurants and establishments in Europe? Yes, absolutely. Evelyn says, greetings from Denver. I just answered that question, Ivan, about the Grand Egyptian Museum. Robin loves your photo, Terry, of Germany. Love it. Okay. Well, I got stuff to do today, guys. But it was great to join you at our regular time, even though it wasn't planned. Next week, we'll be coming to you from another location in the U.S., but far from here. So once again, I'm back on another couple of planes, but happy to join you a week from today at the same time, noon Eastern time. In the meantime, don't forget our radio show, Eye on Travel, airing this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Check your local listings. Check out our shows on PBS, Hidden Poland, Hidden Turkey. Of course, Travel Detective premiering next year, again, season 8. And we just finished shooting Hidden Canary Islands. We shot every one of them, and that'll be premiering next year as well. So thanks, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy December. Get ready for new vaccination rules, new testing rules. It'll be announced momentarily this afternoon by President Biden. And of course, we'll be back next week to interpret all of that. So be safe, everybody, and I'll see you next week.